Pretty cold for tonight.
Are the mics hot? Jordan hasn't said.
I don't know. Are they hot? And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Thursday, January 4th. I am Josh Engleman. I'm joined by Adam Scherer. We're brought to you by Better. And we only have a two-game slate today, which is really unappealing. But it's not as unappealing as the 14-game slate that we get tomorrow. Really excited for that one. I hope you can tell that I am being sarcastic. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and follow us both on Twitter. Adam, yesterday sucked.
Yesterday did suck. It was like I look at slates like that and I'm just like, I don't know how outside of like a random lineup coming together. It's like I don't know the path that I would have taken to win because some of what I thought were the best plays were so bad. And it just, guys that I was comfortable building around didn't do well. Now it didn't matter for me because I spent so much time making my losing $888 lineup that I was about 5 seconds late uploading my CSV for my normal lineups. So it didn't matter at all for me. I had someone tweet at me yesterday that he assumes I'm smashing because Anthony Edwards crushed and Kyrie Irving crushed and other things. And I was like, no, because I ended up not getting those guys because I had 100% Halliburton and Donovan Mitchell to start the night.
Yeah. OG Anunoby, 50% owned in the 888. He had 28 fantasy points. And honestly, 28 is a gift because he wasn't near 28 at the half. Jalen Johnson had his big day. Mitchell, very underwhelming. Two of those three guys that I just named were in 50% of lineups and probably more than 50% of mine.
Yeah, no, I will say I'm frustrated I didn't get my 150 max lineups in because at least I don't know, I didn't even look to see what I would have played. That would probably have just pissed me off more. But like on the show, I was getting a good amount of Mitchell, but I was lower than the field. I was getting a good amount of Jalen Johnson, but lower than the field. So like there is a chance that I was actually going to have some really good lineups, and I'm glad that I never got to find that out.
Yeah, it's Jared Allen obviously smashed. We got an 8x day out of Alec Burks. That game went to OT and scored 300 total points.
Yeah,
I didn't have a ton of that.
I know on the deeper dive I had like 30% Burks.
You should have tried playing those lineups.
Yeah, so I was running like at this point I had like a minute left and I'm running my stuff and like hoping it gets in, and in my head I'm like, why didn't you just enter your deeper dive lineups and then late swap? But at that point couldn't do anything.
Best value of the night was Bojan Bogdanovic. Jordan Clarkson follows it up with another 49.5 point performance. And then Sam Merrill, your third best value play, obviously. Only 13% owned, though, in the 888. So
yeah,
much more reasonable at that point.
Yeah, I ended up as you know, I ended up with him in that lineup. I'm curious where I would have ended up in large field, just with ownership coming down.
Hartenstein, 8x. George Niang, 8x. Tristan Thompson, close to 8x. Obi Toppin went nuts at no ownership. Bol hit another 7x.
Yeah. Niang was an interesting one,
none
too.
of those guys.
I don't think we didn't talk about Niang specifically other than just sort of mentioning he was in lineups here and there. But like, at least in the 888, I don't know what he was in the 15. Niang was 2%. Merrill was like 13. Like, they were the same thing, basically.
Yeah. It's just awful. Just truly awful.
Dame took more shots. I know I tweeted this out because my contrarian play in the 888 was Dame at 4%. More field goal attempts than everybody on his team, took 18 of them. He finally got to 39 DraftKings points, but that was a struggle.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Are you ready to talk a little bit about today's illustrious two-gamer?
Yeah, why not?
First game up. First team up. The Milwaukee Bucks. 9.5-point favorites in San Antonio. 249 total. And the biggest piece of news that we have here is that we don't know how to project the Bucks right now. I don't expect Chris Middleton to play. I have him in. He was questionable yesterday with two separate problems. This is a back-to-back. They actually haven't had a lot of back-to-backs. He played one earlier in the season, but that was when he was only playing like 16 minutes a night. So I'm not as surprised. The only other one that he had, he actually did sit. Feels like you should sit him here. You kind of need him to sit because Giannis is 12K power forward center, and there is not a legitimate piece of value anywhere to be found. I don't know how you roster Giannis and Jokic. Before anybody asks, No, you can't play them together. You'll figure it out pretty quickly when you start trying to build that kind of stuff. But as I look at Milwaukee, so much of this depends on the status of Chris Middleton. But like, if there's no Middleton, then we can get, you know, a boatload of Marshawn Beauchamp or Andre Jackson or I don't know, Cam Payne. Those are the 3K guys that are coming from Milwaukee. How do you find yourself getting to someone like Giannis at 12K on a day like today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's very difficult, especially if Middleton plays. If Middleton's out, and I kind of assume he will be, um, you have you potentially get the Beauchamp and Connaughton on a 2-gamer, maybe some campaign or Andre Jackson. But if he's in, it's very difficult. And obviously, he looks good in this spot. But the teams playing today do have solid mid-range players. So that's something else that,
Yeah.
if you're lacking for value, might pull you away from Giannis a little bit.
Yeah, to get like the 6K range is stacked with all dudes. You're just like, yeah, that's fine. That'll work. That'll work. And all of a sudden, you're just funneling yourself to a balanced build. Because when you get a lineup that has Giannis or Jokic, you're immediately having to grab at least one of these 3K guys on a 2-game slate. And those 3K guys don't look good. Like, none of them are going to be projecting all that well unless we lose Middleton. Ooh, the Braves extended sale? Is that real?
I don't know.
2 years, 2 years, 38 million. Club option in 2026. Come on, healthy. Not confident. Not confident in the health of Chris Sale. So let's, for a second, assume that Chris Middleton is playing. Is he the best play for Milwaukee just because of his price and his position?
I mean, he's still pretty expensive, but probably I think you can make a case kind of for Lopez just because he's 6,200.
Sure. Yeah, because for San Antonio, we don't really have a center. It's Wemby. For Denver, you're running into Jokic. And then for Golden State, I mean, your real option, Trace Jackson Davis or Looney, who got a little bit more playing time, or Saric. Like, there's not a lot of options. So yeah, I see where you're going there with Lopez. That makes some sense to me. Like Dame for 9,300, that seems really difficult to do.
Yeah, I could see him being a useful piece just because he is less expensive than Giannis and does give you that ceiling. But I don't even know how easy it'll be to get to him.
And you also then have Steph as like a direct Dame Lillard pivot, slightly cheaper, if that helps you at all. Now, Dame will certainly look a lot better if we do lose Chris Middleton. That's like the biggest dynamic that we have here. It changes his status changes the entire slate, and we have no idea what's happening.
For Middleton?
It's the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got ownership up.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to load.
So I'm going to pull that up right now. Let's see. So we went with the assumption that Middleton is not playing.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I've seen everybody in the industry do.
Yeah. Which really sucks for me.
Yeah.
Because that's not what I did, because I don't take people out when I don't know they're out. But it makes sense. But like I went back and tried to see if there was any word that he wasn't going to be playing. I did not find that. But as I look at it right now, assuming Middleton is out, we're projecting 53% ownership to Lopez and about 30 to Lillard, Giannis, Beasley, and Beauchamp. If Middleton is out, I have no idea how Beauchamp isn't more than 30% owned on this slate.
Yeah, seems like, I mean, on the one hand, it's Beauchamp, but there's just such little value right now that at 3,500 shooting guard, small forward, he's going to look really good. Now, Connaughton's only getting 6% at 4,300. I would think that there are ways you can turn some Beauchamp into Connaughton potentially.
Also, should expect Connaughton to be getting some sort of additional, like 6% of Connaughton on at 4,300 might be my favorite GPP play of the day.
Well, he's not even my favorite GPP play on the team because Cam Payne is 3% owned at 3,800.
Yeah.
And like Payne probably won't play many minutes alongside Lillard, especially if Well, like if Middleton's in, he's just not. If Middleton's
Right.
out, you probably still won't get that many, but 12 minutes of campaign beats 24 minutes of Beauchamp a relatively high percentage of the time.
Yeah. It's just gross. And like, I mean, we're seeing more I mean, there honestly, 9% ownership coming into a point guard small forward Andre Jackson might actually be the guy that we really like.
Yeah, that too, because he could just take Beauchamp minutes.
Right. All of those
Is
things are
AJ Green active?
necessary to no idea. Can't check the
Because
injury
that
report
also
or anything
matters
right now.
just from a like risk standpoint.
Yeah. We won't know until 1:30.
Well, I meant more is he even on the team? Like
Oh,
I
as far as I know.
yeah.
Let me look. Let me just see if he's like played recently. He played on the 27th.
Okay, so he's still there.
So
Probably.
by all accounts, he should be there. Yeah, I see like I just feels so hard to get to like it's wild to me to see Giannis be in a third of lineups and be 12K on this slate. That feels so difficult to get to. Not that I don't want to, but right away, you have to make this 50-50 decision on Giannis or Jokic. What scores would they have to put up combined for you to need them both, do you think?
To need them both,
Yeah.
pro- like
80,
100
80
and
plus? Yeah.
I was thinking like 150.
Oh, you mean combined?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, 80, call it 80 for each,
Yeah.
160. That seems about right. Because, I mean, that is like a path, but you are going to have nothing in your lineups when you do that. That is just a sea of 3K guys. Let me just see what it looks like. If I take the projections that I had earlier today, no randomness or anything, just crunch out like 10 lineups of Jokic locked, Giannis locked. Now, this doesn't, for me, it has Middleton in, so that's a little bit less appealing. Moses Moody, Chetty Osman, Julian Strother are three of the names that are in here. Now, you could swap out two of those for the 3K guys that would show up for Milwaukee, but it's not going to be an appealing construction, that's for sure. All right. If Middleton is out, who is the best play on the Milwaukee Bucks?
I probably Lopez. I'm running my stuff now that we have data, but
Okay.
my
I just don't
guess
want to take
is
Middleton out.
Lopez.
I don't know why I don't want to take Middleton out. Just the principle of the matter.
Oh, wait, you said best play with Middleton out or Middleton in?
Out.
Oh, out. It's probably Beauchamp.
Okay. And the real problem for all of this is how good of a matchup this is for Milwaukee. Like it doesn't even matter Middleton's status. They're going to be like 8-point favorites in San Antonio either way. Everybody's on the table though for Milwaukee, right? Like no matter who you project in today, they are rosterable
Yeah.
unless Middleton is in.
Yeah. I mean, it's a 2-game slate, and especially if Middleton's out, like any of the guys that I mean, not that you're going to feel comfortable with somebody like Beauchamp, but like you're assuming he gets the bulk of, or he soaks up enough minutes where he just projects as a good value. So that's the reason that he would be rosterable. And then anybody that could steal minutes from him becomes rosterable just from a game theory angle in large field tournaments.
All right, folks, hit that like button. Schedule for the rest of the day. We got a lot going on. NFL strategy show coming up next. That'll be at 11 a.m. You'll get the NHL strategy show at 2 p.m. Greg will be back for the Owner's Box live show at 4:30. No deeper dive tonight. With only 2 games, there's not going to be a deeper dive. You will get NBA live before lock, though, tonight at 6:30 p.m. That should be what you guys are looking for, though. But lots of live shows. That's 4 more live shows throughout the rest of today. Don't want to miss it. Make sure you're using our avatar. Go to stochastic.com/avatar. Lock up that logo on DraftKings, FanDuel, Owner's Box, or Yahoo. Get a free month of Stochastic, whatever you want. If you finish in the top 3 of a contest with 5,000 or more entries, all you got to do is tweet it at Stochastic HOF. The San Antonio side is pretty interesting for today because we've got a Q tag on Dominic Barlow, who looks like he's the backup center at 3,700. Interesting. And then doubtful tag on Malachi Branham, Are we going to get real minutes for Trey Jones today, or are they going to screw us in some different way and play Blake Wesley and and Devontae Graham?
Probably the latter, but I think you have to project the former.
Yeah.
Trey Jones started the second half in Branham's place last game. He played 25 minutes total for the game. He played about 15 minutes in the second half. I think expecting something like 28 minutes from him if he's starting is kind of where you need to be at. Clearly, he could play more. Clearly, it's the Spurs. He could play less, but we're at 27 minutes. I think that's the correct range. And it's just going to make him look good at $5,100. Now, you did have Blake Wesley off the bench. He played after Branham got hurt in the first quarter. Blake Wesley closed the first half, played the final about 7 minutes. He played significant minutes in the second half as well, played about 13, 14 minutes in the second half. Like he played basically as many second half minutes as Trey Jones did. So there is the potential for that to obviously go sideways, but they also played a little bit alongside each other. So, that's nice to see as well. Right now we have Wesley at 20 minutes, 4K. Probably the right projection, could be a little bit low, but Wesley, I think, still certainly looks playable, but Jones looks like one of the best plays on the slate.
Yeah, I agree. I got to a lot of Trey Jones prior to this. How do you want to handle the center rotation if Dominic Barlow is in? We can't go to Mamu here, can we?
I don't think so. I mean, they have reason to want to play Barlow. He's impressed people in the G League from what I've read from Spurs beat writers and stuff. And if he's up, why not? So we saw him get the bulk of the backup center minutes last game. I think that's how it should be projected this game as long as he's active.
It will be very interesting if he is ruled out at like 7 o'clock, and then you can make a quick pivot to, well, it's not going to be an easy pivot because Barlow is 3,700 and Mamu is 3,800, but that will be the move to make. That'll be the Wendell Carter Jr. to Goga move for today, I think.
Yeah. And right now we have it projected the opposite way. We have 17 minutes to Mamu, 4 to Barlow. I think that's the opposite, backwards.
Yeah, I mean, based on the last game, Mamu played 2 minutes and never saw the floor again, and Dominic Barlow played everything else. There's no way.
And again, like the incentives for Barlow are there if he's up.
Yeah. So as long as he's available, at least in the last game, they showed us that it's Barlow and not Mamu. So I'm sure.
Yeah, and I still think so. Like I had kind of been projecting Mamu as the main guy and then Barlow to get some minutes. I think you just do the opposite now. You don't just say Mamu's out of the rotation, Barlow's playing every backup center minute. But I think that you give him the bulk.
Agreed. Speaking of random centers starting in places that you don't expect, I do love that I said that Tillman was going to start yesterday.
You said he was going to close.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. Close enough. Either way, didn't expect starting and no minutes to Bismack Biyombo yesterday, but that
I definitely
happen.
didn't expect no minutes.
I don't know what they're doing. Like some of these decisions, like I'd love to know what the actual reasoning is. Not that I care, but it would just help for my like peace of mind.
Yeah.
How does that happen? Oh, this guy's been our starting center for the last month and a half, by the way. And we're going to jerk him around a little bit. Then we're going to play him a lot. And then we're just going to take him out completely.
Yeah. Jenkins was pissed off with how he let you down in that tournament the night before.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. Thanks, Taylor. This Spurs team, though, now that we've talked about like the pieces that have some ambiguity, look amazing. I love the idea of getting to an $8,300 Wemby today, power forward center, given this 2-game slate and the flexibility that we don't really have. He's only 26% owned. Give me way more than that, but give me a lot of Keldon Johnson, a lot of Jeremy Sohan, a lot of Devin Vassell, because at least this matchup is good from a pace and like, Milwaukee defense perspective.
Yeah, it is. Finally getting stuff finished up right now, sort of. But I need to adjust things a little bit. But right now, just looking at, of course, I have 88% Mamu. That will go away because I'm not going to project him to play more than 4 minutes. So that can be ignored. Other than him, Keldon Johnson showing up like 63% for me right now. Trey Jones showing up 45%. Vassell showing up 43%. Like getting to any of those guys is going to look good. That does put me slightly below the field on Jones, but not too far. Sohan, Champagny, Wesley all showing up 28 to 32%. Wemby showing up 20, and then getting smaller amounts of Chetty and McDermott.
I love the Wemby. Today feels like a great day to get a lot of Wemby. Just You don't have a ton of alternatives. That $8,300 price tag on a two gamer actually works a little bit better than it does when, you need him to run down guys that can play their full freight.
Yeah.
Um,
So, and I
and then
guess the one takeaway from this, like I said, I'm getting Mamu, but wouldn't happen assuming Barlow's in. If Barlow's out, I'm playing a lot of Mamu.
yeah. And whatever Mamu you have right now, like you could just say is Barlow. Like
Yeah, I don't
they're
know if I get
essentially
88% Barlow, but I think I probably get a good amount of Barlow.
it's probably pretty close.
What will really get me a lot of Barlow is if the industry actually stays with like not giving him the minutes and keeps his projection down or his ownership down.
The worst part of this game is going to be the Chetty, Doug McDermott, Devontae Graham, I guess, like potential minutes. Those are the guys where it's just like, oh, they're gonna get like real ownership.
It'll be Devontae Graham because every time the Spurs have been shorthanded like this year, I end up initially giving him like 12, 14 minutes and then walking it back. And I end up being right because they just don't give him the minutes. So at this
Yeah,
point, I'm going to just learn out of the gate, give him a handful of minutes, and he's going to be like the first guy off the bench.
that seems like the most likely scenario. I agree. But like, we're projecting Chetty for 10% ownership. We're projecting Doug McDermott for 6. Those are big enough numbers that if they're the value plays, like then they're the value plays. It's not okay, well, I can dodge that because they're unowned. That's
Right.
not dodgeable.
Yeah. And I'm pretty much in line on those guys. I have 11% Chetty. I have 3% McDermott. Pretty much in line with their ownership, more or less in line with their optimal percentages. Blake Wesley is the value piece. Well, other than Mamu, Blake Wesley is the value piece here that I am getting quite a bit more than the field. We only have him projected for 8% ownership. We have him with a 17% chance of being optimal. So that is something that generally you're going to see those numbers kind of condense throughout the day. But getting to 29% Wesley, so around 3.5x the field.
So we've got all this like ambiguity going on in Milwaukee, and then we've got all this weird ambiguity for San Antonio as well. The second game, Denver and Golden State, is the exact opposite. Like we sort of know exactly, we certainly know exactly what Denver is generally doing. Golden State is pretty well settled into what they're doing, at least from a full rotation standpoint. Two very, very different games. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Shout out to Better for being the sponsor of this show. If you're looking to get up to $500 on your first deposit, you can sign up using the link in the description or the one that pops up in chat. They will match whatever your deposit amount is up to $500. Absolute no-brainer to me in order of like for taking advantage of that offer. You want to build up a bankroll as much as you can. The more money that you have to use as your bankroll, the better off you're going to be. If you use that sign up link, you'll get up to $500. You could also 100x your entry if you get 8 picks correct. That could be NBA, NFL, NHL, baseball when it's around, and more. Now, you got to be 21 or over, but if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, you got to call 1-800-GAMBLER. Denver Nuggets, 3-point favorites in Golden State, 235 total. This is a team where we know exactly what we're getting. The ownership is coming into Gordon, Murray, KCP, Porter, and Jokic. No surprises there. Jokic 11-6. That is very difficult to get to on a day like today. The value plays for Denver don't really exist in the same way that they do for some of these other teams. 4,200 for Christian Brown, 4,900 for Watson, 4,600 for Reggie Jackson. Maybe you want to go to 3,800 on Zeke Naji and hope that he does play again. Could be DeAndre Jordan. Who the hell knows? It's Julian Strawther at 3,400. That's the only value play that's like, okay, at least that guy's still in the 3Ks, but I think you just kind of got to pick a starter or something, and that's your Denver representative.
Yeah, my Denver exposures look like mostly like this is a real sized slate. The guys that I'm getting to are Murray, Gordon, Porter, Jokic. Those are the 4 double-digit guys. 54% of Murray really stands out. That's not surprising just based on the relative lack of value on the slate. You're getting an 8K guy that has a high ceiling, 26% ownership to him. We have him 34% to be optimal. I'm getting way more than that at 54%. Aaron Gordon showing up 47% for me at only 5,800. He's getting 37% ownership. Then there's a drop off for me where I'm getting 19% MPJ, which is right around the field. I'm getting 15% Jokic, which is slightly below the field. KCP 5% is my 5th highest owned guy. That is about 1/3 of the field. And then I have a very small amount of Christian Brown, very small amount of Reggie Jackson, and nothing else.
Ooh, wow, I got a little bit of Reggie Jackson there. No Strother.
I do not have Strother right now. We
Interesting.
have him projected for 8 DraftKings points.
That'll do it. Because he's the guy that I look at like, all right, well, if I'm going to be dumpster diving, I'll take the $3,400 dude.
Yeah. And I mean, he played 7 minutes in the first half last game, didn't play in the second half until garbage time. I have no confidence in his minutes. I think the 8 fantasy
No.
point projection is reasonable.
Yeah.
To your point, if you're guaranteed he played 15 or 16 minutes, like he replicates that first half rotation, you're playing a good amount of him. So that's where the appeal comes from. But
Yeah.
I'm not getting to him at the moment.
It's just real like it's hard to look at it's hard to look at Milwaukee and San Antonio and then look at Denver and think you're looking at the same thing for today. It's just, especially if Middleton's out, like we were talking about wildly different teams.
Yeah. And Zeke Naji is basically just Dominic Barlow, right?
In terms of
role,
yeah,
price, everything.
I mean, Zeke Naji is Dominic Barlow / Mamu, whoever that ends up being.
Well, he's 800 more than Mamu.
No.
Yes.
They're the exact same price.
Mamu's not 3K flat? Oh, no, I read that wrong. Yeah, never mind.
So, yes, I agree with your question. You didn't apparently know all of the information, but yes, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, when I looked, for whatever reason, I thought Mamu was 3K.
I'm guessing we projected DeAndre Jordan in?
No.
Yeah. Well, no ownership to Zeke Naji makes him the best play out of those 3 guys then.
Yeah. Yeah, we went 11 minutes to Naji, 1 minute to Jordan.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, whether it's Naji, Barlow, Mamu, grab the guy with the lowest ownership, probably.
Yeah.
Depending on.
We went 11 and a half minutes to Strother. I think that's like the correct projection. I'm guessing the reason I didn't get there is just that he's getting 4% ownership, but it probably also is that I have so much Mamu right now because of the disparity between how we're projecting him and how we're projecting him to be rostered. If like we have Mamu with a 39% chance of being optimal at 15% owned. So yeah, I would be jamming Mamu over Strother if that is how he's projected, but that's not going to be the case. So no. I do think that this is a spot where I probably just get more Strother as we get closer to lock. And if Middleton's in, Strother starts looking even better.
Yeah, that's the real crazy part. And if Middleton is out, then all of these Denver dudes also look a little bit better. Oh, well, I mean, I guess they look like what this ownership is now, but like to want to play Denver and Golden State, you want Middleton out. Otherwise, you're playing the way shittier pieces of Denver and Golden State. Hard. This is very hard. Do you think about rules on a day like today?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, the ones I would set on a slate, because like normally the rules I'm setting are like, don't play guys that aren't going to share the floor. But on a 2-game slate, I don't care about that because you have limited value. You have plenty of ways that it can pay off. I mean, I don't know what ended up winning the large field tournaments yesterday, but I know there were Jared Allen plus Tristan Thompson lineups at the top, which I would not have played on that slate, but there are obviously ways it pans out. But on a slate like this, the rules I'd be setting would be like max 1 of Mamu and Barlow, but you don't need to set that rule because you're just not going to get them both in lineups.
SGA, Merrill, Burks, Jalen Johnson, Jared Allen, Clarkson, Boyan, Walker, Kessler. That guy get that lineup from like the future? Holy shit.
I didn't hear any names I really disliked.
No, but like I wasn't ever really looking at a lot of lineups like, all right, I got Burks, Boyan, Clarkson, Walker, Kessler, game stack, and they're going to put up 300 points tonight.
Sure. Yeah, but in terms of lineups that win that tournament, normally it's like a where the hell did this come from? That one at least like had real players in every lineup spot.
Yeah, like Walker Kessler was 9.5% owned. That's the low, man. I don't see like there's not a problem play in that lineup at all.
By the way, did you notice Jalen Johnson only played 29 minutes yesterday because of foul trouble?
I didn't, but he certainly didn't need more.
Yeah. At one point, he had, I think, 32 DraftKings points in like 18 minutes.
Sam Merrill ended up 11% owned.
Yeah, solid play if you know that's the ownership.
Yep. Yes, it is.
Like not a great play, just a like, yeah, this is what it is. I'll play 11% too.
Yeah, he would have looked way different for me. Let's close this out with Golden State.
Yeah.
So for the Warriors, no Gary Payton, who is hurt again. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Highest owned dude is very clearly to me the best play from the Warriors today. That's $5,300 Jonathan Kuminga. He's projected for 50% ownership. I do think he stands out the most for Golden State. I have shares of literally everybody except for Moses Moody, and I do think that I should probably have some shares of Moses Moody. But after Kuminga, I don't think that anybody immediately jumps off the page.
Yeah, I have 10 guys for Golden State right now in at least one lineup. Kuminga's the high mark for me. I have 33%, Fields at 50. We have him with a 28% chance of being optimal. So with that information, not too surprised that I'm below the field, but he did play 34 minutes last game. I think the playing time basically ranges anywhere from like 24 to 34. I'll probably end up projecting around 28 or somewhere in there.
Yeah, that's what I went to.
Yeah, so he's going to look pretty good at that salary. We have him at 26 minutes, so I'll probably end up being a little bit higher, but same ballpark. Chris Paul showing up 21%, Fields getting 30, 6,400. So his salary did increase. You're expecting, 30 to 32 minutes from him. Played 32 and a half in his start 2 games ago, played 30 last game. I expect him to just kind of live in that range. Not a great point per minute guy, but still good enough, especially on this slate where he looks like a pretty solid option. Thompson's picking up the third most ownership, 22%, shooting guard, small forward, 5,900. I'm getting to 7% Thompson. I really just don't have that right now, which is a little surprising to me given the positional eligibility and the fact that we have him with a 20% chance of being optimal. I figured we would have him going way over owned if I'm not getting to him, but I'm not. My third highest owned guy here is Steph, who's getting 14% ownership, 22% chance of being optimal. I have 19% of him, so I'm a little bit over the field there, which I like.
I got 31, and that's with Middleton in.
Yeah. Are you getting Jackson Davis? Because I'm not, and I don't like it.
1 share.
Okay. Well, I have 6%, so I have more than you.
5,700 minutes are tricky. I went 26.
Yeah. Yeah, we went 27, and I still only got 6%.
Yeah, it's not an outstanding. Like, I have more Looney. I have more Saric, too. Those are the minutes that are interesting. Like, what do you want to do there with Looney, who got back out on the floor and closed? This feels like a Looney spot against Jokic, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I still think you're probably going like 14 to 16, somewhere in there.
I went 15.
Yeah, we went 15. I think that's good. I'm just not getting to Golden State in general in the field is.
This is a bizarre slate.
Like, I am sub 10% right now on all of Thompson, Jackson Davis, Wiggins, Saric, Looney, Podziemski, and Moody. The field is double digits on everybody I just named, except Podziemski is 9%.
Yeah, I'm way under on Paul. I'm under on Saric. I'm way under on Looney, Thompson, Trace Jackson Davis. I'm seeing it the same way you are. Under on Wiggins. I'm right with the field on Podziemski. The only guy that I'm really getting, I'm getting a lot of Kuminga, but I don't think that one's avoidable. I think that chalk is like very real chalk. And then
right now, the only player on this team that I'm over, even the only player that I'm over the field on is Steph right now. Like I said, I do think I will get a little bit more Kuminga because I'll probably go a minute or two higher than we have him right now. But even like, I have him in a third of my lineups, which is just less than the field. Like, so yeah, Curry's the only guy I'm over the field on right now.
Everything just right now depends on that status for Milwaukee. And like, when I say, maybe they sit Middleton, we need to be very aware that they can sit more than just Middleton today. Like, this seems like a perfect opportunity for Giannis to just take a beat.
Yeah, except Giannis versus Wemby in San Antonio. Like, to your theory about, guys like LeBron preferring not to rest on the road.
Yeah.
You're pissing off you're making a lot of non-Giannis fans if you just decide that you're not showing up to the Giannis versus Wemby game that they all bought tickets to.
If you're Giannis, you're like, that's fine. I don't need fans in San Antonio. Yeah, when am I gonna be back here? Big Alamo guy.
Yeah. Churros.
Probably doesn't even know what it is.
Churros.
Giannis seems happy in life. I don't think he needs the women of San Antonio right now. Churros are delicious, though. That is a delicious food. It's on national TV. Well, yeah, at least we'll probably know early enough if he's not playing.
Yeah. One of my first thoughts when I woke up and looked at the schedule was, how is this a Thursday night game?
Yeah. 2 games today, 14 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Gross.
Glad I'm off tomorrow. That made me very happy.
Normally I'm so happy when you're off, but like, this is one that is less appealing for me. Buckle up tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start the deeper dive at noon. Myself and Laffy are breaking down a 14-game slate. I'm not confident that Laffy has any idea what's going on in basketball right now, so I'm going to run that show clean off the
Oh,
road.
I am very confident about what Lofty knows about basketball right now.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. I'm gonna ruin his afternoon.
No, actually, I think he has been playing a little bit. He's like been DMing me DFS questions sometimes about NBA.
Okay. It's definitely not as much as football, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was actually looking. What actually made me think about that with him in NBA was I was looking at the picks that people made last night on OddsShopper, and Lofty had like 6 up there, and I think they were all NFL. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. He's been doing a lot of that.
John P, you are right. It is the deepest dive tomorrow. He's gonna have keeping me on the track is gonna be very difficult.
When was the last time you guys did a show together?
We did one earlier when you were off.
Okay.
He filled in for like one of the shows.
Oh, like started the basketball season when I wasn't back yet.
Something like that. Or were you gone for like a weekend or something like a month ago? Something like that.
I had a funeral in October at the very beginning of the season.
Yeah, that's what it was. And I told Laffy he didn't have a choice. He had to do the show. So I think that's what it was.
I'm back.
Oh man, it's gonna be fun. Gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot more fun than this slate tonight. That's for sure. This is it for you.
I woke up like I'm not gonna play the slate, and then now, of course, after talking about it, I'm just like, yeah, I'm obviously gonna play.
I will not be playing. I've got plans tonight, and you and I aren't on the deeper dive at all. So
yeah.
I will have FOMO, that's for sure. But I'll be okay.
It probably won't last long. I'm sure I'll be DMing you that my highest owned guys got hurt 3 minutes into the game again.
No, I won't be playing. So you will be DMing me like positive things that piss me off even more for you. Yeah. Now I have to hear about your success on a day where I wasn't allowed to feel success. That sounds way worse to me. Oh man. Jake, I would if they gave us real contests tomorrow for both sides, yes, I would rather them go 2 slates of like 100K, 50K, or 100K, 100K. But I don't want them to do that because they will ruin it.
No, I want them to give us a 100K 14-game slate and a 50K 9-game slate. Or 5-game slate, whatever.
What's the account? Is it DFS Quant? Maybe. I think that might be the Twitter account. Made an interesting point yesterday. I think it was yesterday. It was in my For You tab, so it could have been at any point in time recently. But the one interesting piece about DraftKings chopping off these slates and not including them in the main is that it does really like smooth out your variance a little bit by not having your night slate also have some sort of attachment to your main slate, where you can get into that and have no tie to it whatsoever, which does make a little bit of sense. Like, it's not really, that's only for like you and I to talk about, really. It's not like a big industry thing, but it is an interesting piece to think about where you have this stand on late games and then you double down on your nightstand and all of a sudden it's just like, oh, this didn't go well.
Yeah, that's true. Like, there's just going to be nights where you're investing a lot of money into Steph Curry on the main slate and then also obviously on the night slate. So
yeah, you're like doubling your volume on a play.
Yeah, there are also nights though where like you have a big Steph stand on the main slate and you're fading him on the night slate.
Yeah, hard, but can happen. But I do like. I hadn't thought about the fact that like you're naturally just smoothing out your line a little bit by playing a unique slate for the NBA.
The part that, and another thing that I guess, I mean, it's nice. Like it's nice if you are not relying on content. There's just not content for these night slates.
Yeah,
really. And so, like, I don't know how much that affects the field in 2024, but I'm sure it makes it a little bit softer. The thing that sucks, you and I were talking about it yesterday, like normally, and I talked about it with people on Twitter before, but like normally it's kind of a no-brainer to play the night slate because it's just a matter of I need to go back to my computer at 9:30 and run lineups. But like last night, it's like, okay, if I'm going to play the night slate, I need to sit back down and start projecting minutes again.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I said to you. I was like, I registered and I was like, oh shit, I have to project these games now. And then 15 minutes later, I unregistered.
Yeah.
And I had the time. I just, if one of my lineups were doing well last night, I probably would have played the night slate because I would have been in a better mood. But I was in such a pissy mood at that point. I was just like, I don't need this shit. I'd rather be asleep.
I think I was the opposite. Like if I had lineups doing well last night, I think I would have been happy to just, if I'd gotten my lineups in normally last night, I don't think I would have played the night slate. But
Okay.
because I felt like my 888 lineup already sucked, and I knew I had messed up my main slate lineup, so I was like, I have nothing to sweat if I don't play the night slate.
At least the Halliburton piece worked out for you. Like you were like that could have been a lot
Yeah,
worse.
yeah,
Well, you and I are done here. We're not going to be on a show again until Monday. Well, together.
yeah. I won't be on a show until Monday.
Oh yeah, you're off Saturday too. So,
Yeah.
whew, dodge that one. Well, folks, thank you for joining us for this one. Reminder: NBA Live Before Lock coming up tonight at 6:30. No deeper dive, but NFL Strategy Show coming up next at 11 a.m. Thank you to Better for being the sponsor. Thank you to Jordan for being the producer. We will talk to you later.